All right.
All right.
What's up, Kendrick?
Hi everyone, my name is Kendrick, and welcome to ENFP Mail. Today I'm going to interview Marco. So Marco, welcome.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me. Good to see you. All right.
So, what is your official type, Marco? Can you give us your full type?
Yeah, it's sleep, blast, play, consume last, basically.
And then sexual modalities?
Yeah, it's a double masculine. Pretty intense one.
So you are a jumper ISTP.
Yeah, and also like called it like a glass lizard, where everybody is basically upside down and activated in really weird ways.
Oh, because you have blast and play.
Yeah, it's really weird. So I don't have my SE activated, which is super unusual for an ISTP. Right?
Right. You know, it is unusual, but I have interviewed quite a few consume last ISTPs, so I think that's really, it's really.
For you, it's getting normal, right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, it seems like there's quite a few consume last ISTPs, which is kind of odd, you know.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, you're right.
What did you think, and how did you feel when you got the typing results back?
Well, it's like 6 months ago that I did get the typing results back, so I really had a lot of time to think about my type, and it makes a lot of sense, to be honest. And actually, immediately when Shane gave me like the result, I accepted it on the spot. Like it makes perfect sense because the logic made sense. So like, yeah, you're right, totally. It's
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
So you had
no objections, really.
You're not one of those people that argued. You're just like, oh, okay, makes sense.
You know? Because I already like thought about it a lot. Like the blogs, just like, yeah, totally cool. You know, like really. For 10 years, I thought like I was an INTP before learning OP, and even when I did like my typing session with her, I'd only been consuming for 2 months, and being consumed last, not that aggressively consuming, right? So I actually haven't looked at all the ISTP profile yet. So if I had looked at the ISTP profile, I might have given it a thought that I could have been a jumper, right?
Right. So what's that sound? Oh, it's my voice going through your side. Maybe you should put
like there's a train on the back, like the one that goes from Guatemala all the way up to the US, actually. Like there's a long train, which like that's kind of famous.
Okay.
That I think it passed by now. I think we should be good.
No, because when I'm talking, it's going through your audio and I can hear it back. So maybe you should put headphones.
But yeah, okay, sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries, man. It's all good.
I mean, we can restart.
It's okay. It's part of the chaos. Because it's.
Yeah.
Can you still hear me right now?
Yeah, but I think we didn't improve anything.
No, it's fine now. I don't hear it anymore, so it's good.
Just me putting the headphones on?
Yeah, it's
that's pretty crazy. Well, I don't need to be having it like you still. It's good without it.
Yeah, no, it's good. No, I put your headphones on.
Oh, back on. Cool.
Yeah, and then I think now it's okay. Okay, no, that's good. No, it's good. This is part of the chaos. So I'm an EP, right? So it's for me chaos.
I can handle chaos pretty well too. That's okay.
Okay, good. So let's just jump right in. What is it like to be like a weird, like consume last ISTP? You know, because usually ISTPs are consume first. So
yeah.
So like, is it hard for you to use it because it's still the top two functions? And
yeah,
and they said that if something's your top two function, it's still strong even though it's last.
Yeah, that's how I also view it. It's like a big muscle that's not being activated very often. So when I do use it, I'm pretty good at it actually. It's just like the frequency and the duration of it, it's more questionable. Like I don't want to use it, but when I do use it, like, oh, you're pretty good, you know? So, well, that's typical consume last behaviors, thinking that they're pretty good, of course. Yeah.
It's like, you know, when you go to the gym and you don't work out your legs, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty big, the muscle, like the default is pretty decent. While the F is a really small muscle, but it gets used a lot. Right?
Yeah, your biceps a small muscle, but that's all the guys do.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are AntiSavior, so how do you experience being an AntiSavior?
How do I experience it compared to?
Let me think. Well, are you?
I'm not used to comparing myself. Sorry for interrupting. I'm not used to comparing myself, so I don't know. Like it's just the default mode, so I don't think about it in that way. Like you're saying, like being an NT.
Well, I'm not trying to compare, but I'm trying to get you to kind of explain how you.
Oh, it's more like you're talking about the sleep process, then, right? How it is to be NT in that way.
Sure, yeah. Let's talk about your NT sleep then.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very organized, very principle-based kind of function. And to get back to what I think you were trying to aim at, like for me, the NT, especially Ti-Ni, is more about like pattern recognition. It's really, really good at finding patterns, all depending on how much I've consumed. So the more I consume, the better my pattern recognitions become. So I see it like as a tool in that regard, basically. So it's automatically just track things in the external world, and then I see patterns emerge.
And your sleep is also double feminine. So how does that affect you in double feminine NT sleep?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
No worries. All I'm saying is you have double feminine NT sleep.
Yeah.
So how is it like when it's double feminine?
Yeah, sure. It's kind of I wake up every morning and it's not very clear about my identity and where I'm heading, in a sense. So I'm just like doing my sleep routine that I've built up throughout the years. So I feel like I'm quite easy to, like, I have a hard time being fixed on a target and a goal, and even choosing a goal, to be honest. That's how it feels like to have a double feminine identity, basically.
So with your would you say you're comfortable with your fruits then?
I don't know why, but the sound like you might like I don't hear your voice all the time when you speak.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that improved a lot. Thanks.
You have feminine Ti, so what is your feminine Ti like?
Yeah, I can see it because it's very clear when you see a masculine Ti, for example. They're very in your face, very argumentative, always finding the holes in your logic and so forth. And
Right.
me usually, I just let it slide. Like I don't really need to correct you. Like I'm usually just cool. So a little more adaptable, I'll say, in terms of being very accepting and forgiving for when I see something that's not logical to me.
You know what's interesting is you are double masculine play, but your default is going to be that blast and that sleep. So you're not going to come across very punchy because you're not putting that first. Would you agree with that?
I'm not putting it first?
Because you have sleep and blast.
Yeah.
And especially sleep. So you're going to be putting that double feminine sleep first.
Yeah.
You're not going to come across as very aggressive, even though you're double masculine. Would you say that's about right?
Yeah, you're actually pretty accurate about that. Well, at least according to my own self-perceptions, which is usually not that accurate. But yeah, that's how I perceive myself for sure.
But I want to talk about when you do use play, and it's so you have double masculine SF play. So what is double masculine SF play? Like, how do you use it, or what happens when you use it?
I mean, I'm super direct, very honest, very like tough love. I just try to say things I can usually get away with say more or less anything as long as it comes from a good place. If it comes from a place of love and acceptance, I can usually get away with it, even though it's very direct and very masculine. It usually goes pretty well, I would say.
So it's similar to Gary V, who has double masculine.
Yeah, I guess. Yes, you're right. Very saying things as it is. Yeah, but it's all about tonality and stuff like that, right? Yeah,
because he's super aggressive. He's swearing nonstop.
Yeah.
But he wants to help people, so no one really gets mad at him.
Exactly. It's a really, really good comparison. That's how I feel about it as well. I usually get pretty good feedback. Like I can get away with a lot usually.
Gotcha. That's like a superpower because you can go crazy, but then people know you're trying to help them, so they
yeah. I'm giving blaster lessons, right? So but it's also a very an intense energy to have that double masculine. It was like an animal I needed to tame throughout my years. I'm a professional poker player.
Okay.
And it's not very helpful to have like that double masculine energy when you need to do rational decision making.
Right.
Because all I want to do is like destroy everybody, and I'm like this policeman, they're not going to allow anything basically.
Yeah.
And it clouds your judgment whenever you have the really strong energies. So it took me like 4 to 5 years to actually tame that animal, where I could kind of observe it and see it and not act on it basically. So it's like I can feel the temperature is rising, but I'm not going to do anything now. All right. So I used to have like a very impulsive state of mind, very unconscious, so to speak. And it would usually result in me breaking things, throwing things, countless cell phones, lamps, whatever. Like I would just break things routinely whenever something went bad on the tables. And of course, that's not very good, you know. So I kind of had to iron it out, but it took a long time, and it tells you a lot about how much effort you need to put in order to make a change, like that deep rooted, right?
Right.
So yeah, that took a while, like really long time. But now, like whenever something happens, I'm just usually I smile, I see what's going on there, I feel the urge still, I observe it. But now I can just smile at it and let it slide more or less. So that's how I handle my masculine and double masculine energy now. While in other contexts, I just let it loose. You know, I have better outlets where I actually can use it. Like when I go to the gym or stuff like that, then I can just, you know, like rape the gym. Yeah.
Well, I can see you, like, it could make you lose in poker also if you're like being too aggressive, right? Because then people can read you.
There was so much I needed to learn to handle basically, and it was super destructive for me for many years. But the thing is, my ego, and I don't like to lose, right? So I kind of have to eliminate the ego and my double masculine tendencies, at least while I'm playing, like creating like that third eye perspective, where you just observe yourself, like is there, but you don't act on it basically. So it just has like its own life with you, but it's just there, but it's not a big deal. But it takes a while before you get to that point.
So I like that you mentioned your third eye, because that's very NF. And you have AntiSavior, you have NF Blast. So
yeah,
talk about your NF Blast. That's really interesting, because ISTPs don't usually use their NF, but you have it, and it's a savior state. So
yeah, that's true. Well, first of all, let me point out that due to my job, it's not like I have a natural setting to blast, right? I'm not a teacher. I'm not out there looking for opportunity, trying to sell myself or anything like that, right? So I do know it's like I'm so happy when I do get to blast in a way, when I finally find my setting. But usually I'm quite respectful. It's like, nah, I'm only gonna blast if you actually approach me, if you want to know something, if you from that position. I'm not just gonna find some random person like let me just blast to you, right? It doesn't really act that way. So that's why in the beginning, when I was speaking with Shan, I thought I was blast last, even, which is rather funny thinking about it now, reflecting back. And in hindsight, it's really funny. But now I can definitely see it's just because I didn't have the outlet in my day-to-day life. So when I was tracking myself, like, but I don't really talk a lot with, you know, I don't really blast a lot. But if you give me the opportunity, you're right, I will give you blaster lesson for 1 hour straight, right?
Yeah. And then is your blaster NF, like hippie talk? You know, like energy, let's make the world a better place. Let's you know, let's the third eye, you know, crystals.
Yeah, I guess a little bit. It's a little soft, I guess. Yeah.
You have masculine SE, and they said people with masculine SE, they like to like break things, throw things. You know, when they're lifting weights, they're like slamming it. So
yeah, like throwing my drinking bottle and stuff like that. Totally something I did when I was younger.
Yeah. Can you control it now, or you?
Yeah. Well, I still like to give it room, like to express itself. So for sure, I just go. I usually put on some music to even amplify it.
Oh, really?
You get into the groove and just like just destroy the gym. Yeah.
You should like play baseball because then you're like smashing.
Oh yeah, that would be great. Yeah. Well, I'm not American, as I'm from Europe, so I didn't grow up with that one.
True. That makes sense.
Yeah.
What about your FE? You have masculine FE, right? So are you always enforcing tribe values to the tribe?
Like moralizing?
Yeah, like for example, you're Italian, right? So you might say, Italians, we believe in this, so you should believe in this if you're Italian.
I'm not that NF. No, I'm super pragmatic. Like I usually come from more from like a very conceptual point of view, where I give you the basic idea how the default mode is, how things should be done, and then how in the specific situation you can yourself decide on what's the right thing. I'm just trying to create a baseline, basically, through a concept, basically.
No, that wasn't my question. What I'm trying to ask you is tribe values. So, for example, if you have a family, you might say, we value generosity and tradition. So all of you here in the tribe, you must always value our tradition, and you must be generous to other people. So that's like tribe values, right? So do you see yourself like doing that?
Yeah, well, it came with later in life. Like it took a while for me to develop those values, and actually, because when I do value it, it's implemented for life, right? In a way. So, but it took for a long time. I didn't have it really defined, so I didn't say much. And I would say that's true for most of my blast. If you met me when I was 25 or even 20. I hadn't consumed enough for me to even blast about anything, really. It's only later in life I can see like, wow, now that I know so much, I read so many books, so forth, now I can actually talk. Now I realize how much I like to talk and can talk. And that for me was like a hidden thing that I wasn't aware of due to my lifestyle.
Because you are an IP, an ISTP,
yeah,
your biggest area that you're concerned with is tribe hate. So talk about being scared of tribe hate,
Oh, I mean, that's where should we start? Tribe hate. Well, it starts out that from very young, the sense of being a minority is present, like from the very beginning. Like I'm different from the rest, and it doesn't help if you're even Italian, growing in Denmark, looking differently, and coming from like a subgroup of a religion that's only like 1% of the population. So I would say it started off from a very minority-based point of view, my upbringing. So I already knew I was kind of different. Just by that fact, regardless of type, I would know I was different, right?
So you live in Denmark?
No, I don't. I've been traveling for the last 14 years. Living around the world. I'm living in Mexico right now. Haven't been to Europe for like 12 years or something.
Oh, you've been to Mexico. You've been living in Mexico for 12 years now.
No. I've been living outside Europe. I've been living in like 9 countries. I've been traveling a lot.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay, that's interesting. How did you react to being different? Like, you said you went to a lot of places and you were clearly different. So how did that, like, what was your reaction to that? Or how did you feel, I guess? Or what did you think?
Let me describe it like this. I had a lot of disrespect for rules and etiquette. Like I was just this guy that didn't give a fuck. I wear my own style, my own clothes. Like I really went against the consensus, or how you say it, right? Like what was deemed popular, I guess. I wouldn't even know what would have been popular. But even if I did, I would say it's ridiculous or something like that, right?
And then, did people get mad at you? Did you get in trouble? Did you get tribe hate for doing that?
Well, I don't know really, because I didn't really care.
But apparently,
it was so demon FE that I didn't even get to feel the hate. Like I was really that closed off that like I'm just like this rock you can't touch kind of deal.
Yeah, I guess you also consume less. So you're not aware that it's happening, maybe.
Exactly. Like they're probably talking behind my back, and what do I know? And yeah, sure.
Yeah, you have no clue. So it's like ignorance is a bliss, like the
yeah. And most of the time, I would even have like these rumors, like like what the family thinks about you, right? It's like, oh, that's fine. I'm not even going to make an attempt to change their mind, And like that's, I don't really care,
So,
Super
but
demon tribe.
if you're an IP though, technically you're supposed to be afraid of tribe hate. So are you not afraid of the tribe hating you, or the tribe getting mad at you, or the tribe, kicking you out? Like, that's not something you're afraid of?
Well, I always was like this powerful one-man army. And I was like that from really early on. Like I started working when I was 13. I made my own incomes. I already made me independent from a super young age. So I kind of built walls around me so I didn't need the tribe, basically.
But inside though, do you have that fear of the tribe hate?
I think unconsciously I must have had a lot of demon behavior, but it's hard to say because I'm not that guy now. So it's really hard to put myself back to that emotional state when I was back then. But I do know like that I had some like really intense burst out sometimes that I couldn't control and I wouldn't understand really. And that was like really shadow behavior, right? Really unconscious patterns just playing out. For that very reason, for sure. It happened multiple times throughout my life.
Why don't we talk about that? Because a lot of INTPs and ISTPs, everyone has emotions, even if you have it fourth.
Of course.
If you have it fourth, it's going to be the area that you're not even aware of. So you're going to have this emotional outburst, and you have no clue it's even happening. So did you ever get to a point in your life where you realize, oh, I'm feeling this way and it's coming out like this? Like, have you ever noticed that?
Yeah. It took like that third eye perspective had to be developed in order to have that awareness and consciousness to see it playing out in real time. And also being like 5 minutes afterwards, I would be able to see like, oh, what was that, right?
And then what did you think when it came out and you realized what was coming out, like the emotions that was coming out?
What did I think? I know where you're going with this. Like, there's a language we IPs don't speak.
I'm curious though. So, like, okay, that's not true, because if you were an INFP and ISFP, you would speak this language. So that's why I'm asking you, because you're flip, right? You're all in the TI. So I'm curious to see. Okay, what did you think? What did your TI think of your?
Well, it's usually right. Well, I can tell you what's happened now. Like, I can usually feel a lot of funny emotion lately.
Okay.
But I just see them and it's just fine. But I see them in third eye perspective, just from an observant point of view.
Okay.
Like, I'm feeling comfortable, I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling. I see it all the time, to be honest. I see a lot of funny emotions, but I just let them have their life and I just go on with my life. Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, I don't give it too much importance, those emotions. Like, they can be there. Like, I don't need to repress them either. They're just there, you know. But,
right. That's interesting, where you can see it, it's happening, you're doing it.
Yeah.
You don't think anything of it. They're just like, oh yeah, it happened, whatever. It's like.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm super accepting of everything that goes in the interior. Like, I give it love to all of it, you know.
That seems to be the gift of having feminine TI, is that you're not going to judge yourself for being
right. I haven't thought about it like that. I like the way you put it. It's an interesting angle to frame that aspect. I don't know if it really play out that way, but for sure it's probably helpful.
No, because if you had masculine TI, you might say, "Oh, you're fucking stupid for."
Yeah. Like, well, me, like, I also with myself, just let it slide. Yeah, you're flawed. It's fine, you know. Yeah. You are Mr. Know-it-all, and you misinformation all the time, and yeah, sure.
Yeah, or like maybe you're like, oh yeah, you're feeling anxious, but that's fine. It's like there's no judgment to it. It's fine.
No, not at all. Like, usually I like to do uncomfortable things, knowing it, and I just feel like I'm super uncomfortable. I'm gonna do it anyways. Like, that's how I live my life usually.
Oh man, I think feminine TI is very useful. Then like just hearing you tell me this like experience.
Yeah. I just it's like when you're playing a video game. I'm just like this avatar, and I just send them out on missions, and I just see what happens. Like, just making like random experiments, and just like, well, let's see what happens if Marco do that. What happens if Marco do this for a month? And it's all cool. Like, no matter what happens, there's not a really bad outcome. There's no self-hate. There's nothing really.
Right. Fair enough. You have masculine SE. So do you have a good memory?
Yeah, extremely good. Like, for example, when I was 12 years old, I learned all the capitals of the world. And to this day, I can probably recall 70% of them.
Wow. Jeez.
That's why I also thought I was an INTP, because like, well, such a good memory. I'm probably an INTP jumper, TISI. Like, that's what I thought. That was my logic. But no. It's just because it's masculine sensory, right?
Right, and you also gathered it, so it's kind of ironic that you're consumed.
Yeah, you're right. You're funny. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so it's weird that you're consumed last, but you still gathered all those information and you remembered it too. So, if you just practice it, it's going to be quite good. Since we're on this topic, can you talk about your consumed last? Like, what kind of problems have you had in your life from having consumed last?
Oh, okay. I mean, I've been always extremely overconfident, like to an insane degree. So basically, when I was 15, I already knew I didn't want to do like the conformity, domesticate me, being part of the system, like doing the 9 to 5 jobs. Like I rejected it out of hand. Like there is no way I'm going to do that, and I already met that objective, probably in a more like unconscious way, that I would go against that model because I wouldn't be able to fit in and live up to those ideals. So for sure, like I wanted to create my own restaurant as fast as possible. So my idea was, yeah, I'm just gonna go to cooking school for 6 months. I'm gonna go to like learn some economy for 6 months, and then I'll just start my business. I'm gonna find a business partner, and here we go. And that's exactly what I did. 5 years later, I've saved a lot of money, found a partner that went into business with me. I went to cooking school. I did like just very minor investigation into the product and so forth. And of course, I went bankrupt within a year. I got punished really hard for being so unconfident. I thought I could just rule the world. Really.
What went wrong? Would you say?
Oh, so much. I mean, like skill most of all. It's just a matter of skill. Like it's all good and fine to be super confident and having the drive and you're youthful, right? But I never really developed. If you want to be really good, first there's so many hats you need to be good at when you're running your own business, your own restaurant. It's not enough to be not just to be a good cook. You also need to be a good salesman. You need to be a good accountant. You need to be good at so many things. And I was not only good at maybe a few of them, and not even to that high of a degree. So it was bound to fail, of course. Like it was kind of predictable, even.
What was the biggest lesson that you had from that experience that you are using today to help you succeed?
Well, it was very good and humbling losing everything I had. Everything I built it up for 5 years, all my vision, everything that I channeled into like this is how I'm gonna succeed in society, and just poof, start over from scratch. It was really liberating. I was like, now I'm actually ready. And now that I lost everything, now I can go to war basically. So that was more like how that was the lesson I got.
Did you get after you got bankrupt?
Yeah. Absolutely. Like that just fueled me. Yeah, absolutely.
No, but I mean, like you said, your biggest problem was that you were overconfident and that you didn't have the skill set. So when you went back,
I didn't learn the lesson in that sense. I was still overconfident, so I just transferred over to poker, and I started out going on crazy swings, winning a lot of money, losing a lot of money, just yo-yoing every month. Like in 3 months, up 50,000. The next losing 50. And it was just up like that, up and down. And it's because I was just overconfident. I didn't have skill. I was kind of lucky in the beginning. And I didn't realize I was lucky because when things go well in the beginning and you're lucky, you just think you're amazing. So that happens. So it was only like years later where I got a lot of punishments in the game, because there it's a real good mirror. Like it's a very good feedback loop when you're playing competitive games, because it really is reality as it is. And if you don't see a reality as it is, you will get punished. So I got punished throughout my career many times. Whenever I was too successful and complacent, then immediately I would just lose most of it. And then I had to start over again. And I probably had to do that for like 5 years or more before I finally realized you really need to build skill here. You really need to get the fundamentals right. You need to build up, you need to study, you need to have good habits, you need to meditate, you need to have good eating habits, so forth. But it was only due to being forced to compete that I actually did all those improvements, that I kind of became like more professional and started to consume.
I guess it's like, when you're playing at high level, if you're just using your saviors, you're not going to win. You know, you have to, in order to beat your competition, you have to use all your animals. If you're
Absolutely,
not using all your animals,
absolutely. I agree 100%. Like the other day, I was thinking about when was I the most successful, because I love like thinking about sequences, like a recipe. Like what is the recipe when something goes great, well, right? And I have to look at like in my best moments in life, like what was the recipe? What did you do? And then I realized whenever I'm the most successful is because I consumed enough. I gather enough data in order for me to actually make the correct pattern recognition, because my NI is just a guessing machine. It's absolutely crazy. I see one information is like, it's that. Boom, boom, boom. It's absolutely nuts.
that's
So
so
I just, right. So I realized like actually it's only when I've consumed for 2 weeks, just observing the tables and not just jumping to conclusions, that I will make excellent predictions. I will
do
see
you,
reality as it was.
do you find yourself relating to Dave, because Dave has the exact same animals as you, right? So do
I
you
can.
like, do you relate to him a lot? You know?
I do. I do. I can definitely relate a lot to him. Absolutely. He's still quite a different, even though we're the same bracket, same species.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see the consume last, and I think it's kind of, you see him on camera, like it's a very specific setting. I think you will see a very different Dave if you saw him at home. I know it because I know how I am, right? So like whatever you see on the camera will be quite different in how he is in day-to-day life.
Well, I've met Dave in person actually,
Yeah.
and he's more weird in person than in on the camera. And
Right. Right.
yeah. I mean, if he watches this, because he watches my channel sometimes, so
Yeah. Well,
he,
hi
he knows
Dave.
he knows he's weird, so it's all good. But I definitely thought he was weird in person compared to like because I spoke to him on the phone before, and he seems normal on the phone.
Right.
He seems normal on video, but then when you meet him in person, I'm like, he's a little bit weird. You know, he's like a really weird guy. Like
I can relate to that for sure. For sure.
yeah, he's just odd. I can't even describe how weird he is. In person. He's just really weird. You know what?
For sure, for sure. I can relate to that. You would find me the same way. I've noticed my bracket, my species is a very weird species.
Yeah.
And I think what I've noticed so far, everybody in that bracket are high risk takers, probably due to having consumed last. So it's like the patterns I've seen emerging, like regardless, like they are all kind of entrepreneurial, all I wanted to do things and
Right. Okay. I want to ask you about that, because that's a very good point that you brought up. You said your type is very very big into taking risk.
Yeah.
But you are technically an IJ. You're an IPIJ, so you're scared of chaos. So how can you be big on taking risks when you're scared of chaos? Like what is?
Oh, it's because I don't consume it. I don't even realize there's the chaos. It comes later. It's like I just jumped into the pool without knowing to swim, and they're like, "Oh shit, I can't swim." It's more like that.
No, but is there a part of you that fears like chaos?
It's not that I fear it. It's just it's overwhelming sometimes. Like it's just like usually when I don't like when there's too much light and when the music's too loud, stuff like that.
Okay, got it.
More like it's overstimulus. It's more like that I fear. Like I'm gonna get drained too fast. Like my batteries only can handle so much, and I'm aware how much my battery can handle.
Okay, so Dave said people that has sleep savior are oversensitive with having low energy. They think they don't have enough energy, so they have to conserve it. But the truth is, they actually have more energy than they think. So do you find yourself to have the similar experience?
Yeah, I've challenged myself in that regard all the time. Like for example, I haven't only slept for 5 hours last night.
Yeah.
I've worked. I do this interview now. When we finish this, I'll go back to work and I will work until probably 2 o'clock in the morning. Right. So it's just I like to see what's possible. I just like to see, like, really, let's just see what happens. If you die out, you die out, and it's no problem. But let's see where the limit is actually. So that's more or less how I feel about it.
So I have play first and I have sleep last, and I've also tried what you just said, but the opposite.
Okay. Like going introspection, meditating a little.
Not so much. So because I play savior, I really like to engage the tribe. So I really have no breaks when it comes to dealing with the tribe, right?
Yeah.
So you need to have sleep in order to set boundaries with the tribe. So I traveled also a lot. Like I've been to 89 countries, and many times I was by myself. I was 100% alone. There was no tribe, and I felt happy. I was fine. So I think
you tested. You got to see it, whether it was true or not, right? Your fears, right?
Well, I wasn't scared of it. I just didn't really gotten a chance to be in a situation where I'm just on sleep mode all the time. But when I went there, I was like, I actually like this. I feel happy. I feel fine. So
Right.
it's like we need to use all our animals because
Right.
they're all there. We can use them. It's just that we don't use them for some reason,
Yeah, it's not activated. Like you didn't even thought about it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I am in a way because when I got my type back, Dave and Shan said I'm sleep last, but I can use my sleep. They said that my biggest problem because I'm sleep last is not because of the sleep processing, it's the SF. So I'm SF last, right? So they said that if I want to succeed in social media or YouTube, then they said I need to use SF to beat all the other idiot NTs. He said the NTs are all just freaking going crazy on the logic when in fact they should be focusing on what's cool, right? So so for you have SF demon and ST demon and its fourth. Talk about what happened when you started being more SF cool, or when you started being more ST accurate. Like how did that change your life in a positive way?
Yeah, I tried to implement it. I tried to, first of all, you have to be aware of and actually see it play out when you are wrong, when you're not really being that cool, when you don't have bad etiquette, when you have bad closing style, maybe, or you just like a little bit too wild, So I kind of toned it down on many fronts, and also like catering to my audience. Like with this audience, I'm actually gonna dress up to this audience, respecting the audience kind of deal in order to make my life a little easier.
Yeah.
So if you see my wardrobe now, it would look like a flamboyant ENTJ or something like that, like a,
I don't think you need to try too hard, man, because like most ISTP are good looking, so you're a good looking guy, right? So I don't think you have a problem with that stuff,
No, but I just make the extra effort. So if I know I'm meeting an ISFP, I will go more artsy. If I'm meeting a SI hero, I'm just gonna go super traditional, right? With patterns and so forth, and no holes in the shirts and so forth. Like I respect those details now. I will have better table manners. Like before, I would just be a demon, like just wouldn't care. And now I actually like, it's actually not so good because I see it in others. Like I actually do that. Well, maybe you should tone it down when there's other people around. You can do that. Good. It's fine when you're alone. You can act like that. But now, like also like when you have small talk with people, maybe you should ask a silly question back. Stuff like that. And
just. So do you enjoy doing that SF, like dressing up for different occasions and stuff? Like, do you?
I'm starting to enjoy it. Like, actually starting to see it as a fun game now. Like, but it took a long time to get to that point. For a long time, I was just disrespecting. And it's like, if I have a hole in my shirt, I don't really care. But now it's like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna throw it out. I'm gonna buy a new one.
That's a good lesson. I'm gonna have to take a page from your books, just from that advice. I really like that tip. So my last question for you is you being no, I have two questions. So first one is masculine. So talk about being kinesthetic audio. So do you find like yourself like learning really, like one of the best ways for you to learn is with your hands and moving things and doing exercise of some sort? Or
sure. I mean, I'm learning right now something that's like correcting posture, like aligning the whole body and activating all the muscles. Doing it like for 6 months. I have a coach and I see him once a week.
Yeah.
And to be honest, well, I really suck at it, even though we've done it every week even though I'm masculine SE and I'm supposed to be good in that regard, because I'm consumed last, because even though it's only like the last 2 weeks I understood what he was saying and implementing it. It's crazy. Like I'm such a slow learner. You wouldn't imagine like I'm like the slowest.
That is so interesting. I admire your self-awareness though. That's really, like that honesty with yourself is really good.
Thanks, thanks. I appreciate it.
And then you're also audio. You're kinesthetic audio. So are you good with like hearing, learning from hearing?
Yeah, it's kind of contradictory. For example, if I need to get the direction to a street or something, right, I will not be able to remember it or get there ever. Like no matter even the simplest instruction, I will not, because I cannot consume it basically.
Right. That's so funny. That's so
Yeah,
annoying.
I mean it's just hopeless. I mean really, it's like oh come on, and I'm really aware of it. Like this time, it's really try, and I'm like oh fuck.
That is so funny, man. That's so funny.
Yeah, what can I do?
Yeah, what can you do exactly? So because you are an IP, you're a double observer. So you're balanced with control and chaos, and gathering and organizing. So talk about your balance with gather and organize and control and chaos.
Well, I'm very good at outsourcing my consume and the gathering.
That's funny.
Yeah, so because there's people that are more suited for most tests than me, and I'll take responsible for other tests that I'm more suited for, which is of course not great. So, but in some contexts, I think it's fine to do it. But obviously, on a personal level, like you need to train that muscle. You need to invest in it, right? And I'm actually not really good at it. Like my environment, my lifestyle doesn't punish me enough for me to be good in that regard, really. I don't gather enough. Like I only gather what I like to gather. Like, and it's always in like I probably implement some big changes every 6 months. Like I do like the one with the posture correction, for example. That was something brand new, unrelated to anything else I was doing, for example. And it will happen once in a while but usually most of the hacks and the habits I implement, they're kind of in the same bracket. Like it's kind of predictable. It's everything to do with the diet, to do with the training. It has to do with optimizing it. It has to do with productivity. It always aligned within the same area. It's never really outside my box. So I do try to expand my comfort zone, and the only way I think for a guy like me to expand the comfort zone is through the SE and the FE. So trying to learn something totally new, unrelated, and I'm not that great at it. Like I really, but I do try to set targets of maybe you should just only read about geography today or whatever, right? Like just do something that really has no purpose.
Gotcha. All right,
Yeah.
Marco, we're gonna wrap up this interview right now.
Right. Cool.
So thanks again for coming out and doing this
Cool.
interview. So,
Right. Thanks, man. See you. Take care. Bye.